Welcome to Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips. In the opening paragraph of his most famous book, The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump writes that deals are my art form. Other people paint beautifully on canvas or write wonderful poetry. I like making deals. The president says that his latest work, entitled Ukraine, hasn't quite come together yet. But I've no doubt that if asked, he would describe his plan as the geopolitical equivalent of the Mona Lisa. Anxious critics, including Europe's leaders, worry that what's coming out of the White House is actually a work of Pollock's. That's the great artist Jackson Pollock, of course. But as Mr. Trump points out in his book, while to some the Americans' canvases may look like someone just flung a pot of paint at the wall, his picture, number 17A, did sell for $200 million in 2016. Mr. Zelensky says he'll wait to see the completed work, though he fears that Ukraine may be forced to choose between its allies and its dignity. Mr. Putin seems to like it already, but he'll no doubt have some suggestions for improvement. He always does. So perhaps there's a way to go on this one. All the same, wishful thinking perhaps, but could this be the beginning of the end to this dreadful war? Right now, to Zelensky, it probably looks less like a deal and more like a surrender. And if there is a work of art that truly captures what is taking place in Ukraine right now, it is probably Picasso's horrific picture of slaughter of the innocents by fascists in the Spanish Civil War, Guernica. Let's start with the government this morning. A few moments ago, I spoke to the Transport Secretary. Heidi Alexander, when you discussed the proposed Ukraine peace deal at the Cabinet last week, what was the prevailing view?
So, Trevor, like many of your viewers, I learnt about the peace deal yesterday that President Trump was putting forward. I know that the Prime Minister spoke to President Trump yesterday as well as President Zelensky. Clearly, it's been a harrowing conflict and we need to find a way to secure that ceasefire and open up space for meaningful negotiations. There's clearly important meetings that are happening today in Geneva with the National Security Advisors. Jonathan Powell will be there for the UK with the US counterparts and national security advisors from other European countries as well as from Ukraine. And our fundamental view on this is the future of Ukraine has to be determined by Ukrainians themselves. But we do need to find a way to bring this conflict to an end and to secure that just and lasting peace that everyone wants.
I'll come into the substance of it in a moment, but okay, I can understand that maybe the Cabinet didn't know, but presumably the Prime Minister was warned this was coming.
So the Prime Minister has a very close relationship with President Zelensky and works closely with Donald Trump on this, because the only way that we're going to actually get a resolution to this conflict is by international powers working together to put pressure on Russia. There's been one side in this conflict, Trevor, that could... There's one side in this conflict. That's not
quite the same thing as saying he was consulted before.
There's one side in this conflict, Trevor, that could...
Showdown where politicians sweat and the tea gets spilled before it's even brewed. Buckle up, because today we've got fireworks, dodgeballs, and a transport secretary doing the cha-cha around every straight question, like her political life depends on it. Let's kick off with the drama that had everyone choking on their cornflakes. Picture this. A brand new American plan drops out of nowhere. 28 points, big headlines, total shockwave. Europe wakes up blinking like, wait, did we miss the memo? Our government apparently learned about it on the news, same as you and me. Ouch. I sat down with Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander, fresh off the night shift, and asked the question on everybody's lips. When this bombshell landed, did the Cabinet even get a whisper? Her answer? Classic politician bingo. Like many viewers, I found out yesterday, translation, nobody told us either. The Prime Minister did manage a quick call afterwards, but being phoned after the deal is already trending worldwide is a bit like being invited to the wedding once the cake's been cut, so I pushed. Were we actually consulted, or are we just the plus one who carries the coats? Heidi went full word salad mode. Coalition of the willing. 20? Johannesburg. Jonathan Powell in Geneva. Mate, I know the satellite map better than that. I just want a yes or no. The silence spoke louder than the spin, then came the killer question. If America walks away tomorrow and says, sort your own mess, can Europe actually fill those massive boots? Tanks, missiles, intel, the lot? Her reply? We're working towards a ceasefire. 3 times, I asked. 3 times I got the same polite wall of nothing. Geneva this, dialogue that, unity the other. Look, love, we get it. You've got talking points hotter than the studio lights. But the British public aren't idiots. We can smell deflection from 3 postcodes away. Switching tracks, pun intended. I tried to bring a bit of joy to the rail commuters. Great news, fares frozen for the first time in 30 years. Heidi beamed like she'd just invented the wheel. Brilliant for the 1 in 10 who take the train. I said, but what about the 2/3 who drive? Will fuel duty stay frozen for the 15th year running? Cue the smoothest pivot in television history. Back to trains. Leisure travelers, Swindon Station. Post-pandemic trends, anything but car drivers. I asked 4 times. 4. Still waiting. Finally. The budget elephant in the room. Whispers that the 2-child benefit cap might vanish. Would she welcome it? Another masterclass in never answering child poverty task forces. Free breakfast clubs, opportunity for all. Lovely stuff, but I wanted the gritty bit. How do you sell that to working families who stopped at 2 kids because they couldn't afford 3? Now watching their taxes fund bigger families who took the gamble.